and we're here with Tom Essay. And Tom, just give us a little bit of background of what you do and your financial expertise.
Sure. So I'm the president of Sevens Report Research, and we're a macroeconomic research firm. We provide market analysis to financial advisors and investors.
And so today the big topic is Giving Tuesday.
Sure.
We've seen our Facebook page kind of flood with all these charitable organizations that are looking for help this holiday season. One of the challenges for people is trying to decide who to donate to and who's actually a legitimate company or a legitimate organization. Talk a little bit about what they should do, how they should look out for that.
Sure. So luckily there are a lot of things online that we can use to make sure that our charitable dollars are going to really the people who need it. Because that's, in the end of the day, that's what we all want, right? We want the money we give to get into the hands of the people who need it. There's a really good website, charitynavigator.com, that you can go check out. And they do reviews. They will basically put out what charities are really doing the best job and how much of your dollar is actually going to the person who really needs it. Also on the internet, there are things like Yelp, Google reviews. There's now a wealth of sources that we can look. And the most important thing is do your research, right? And we're all getting bombarded by emails of Giving Tuesday and this organization needs help, these people need help. But really, before you reach into your wallet, do your research, because at the end of the day, it's about helping people, and you want to make sure that they're getting the help they need.
The money's going to where they say it's going, right?
Absolutely.
And another thing that people always ask about is tax deductions.
Sure.
How do you know which organization you're giving to? You're going to be able to add that into your taxes at the end of the year.
Sure. So this is especially important. A lot of us locally are getting asked to donate to the Bahamas, right? And certainly they need a ton of help. But a lot of the things like a GoFundMe page, right? We got a lot of I've gotten a lot of GoFundMe asks. Essentially, not every GoFundMe page is going to have an actual charitable organization attached to it. That doesn't mean they're not giving the money to the people who need it, but it does mean you may not be able to deduct that contribution against your taxes. So the key is 501c3. A 501c3 is a registered charitable organization that if you give them money, they will send you essentially a statement that says you gave us this money, you did not get any goods or services in return, you can deduct that against your income. So make sure it's a 501c3 if you want to be able to deduct those dollars. If you don't, that's perfectly okay too, but for those of you who do need to make those deductions, make sure it's a 501c3.
So not to say that you couldn't donate to these other organizations, Helping Bahamas Relief, or a GoFundMe if you saw a very good cause that you wanted to donate to, but just know that you won't be able to include that as a tax deduction.
That's exactly right. And a lot of the GoFundMes for the Bahamas, some of the most effective ones are not charities, because guess what? You're forming a 501c3 is not easy, right? The IRS just doesn't let you sort of pop one up. It's quite an involved process. So sometimes, especially when they're natural disasters, you'll get GoFundMe pages that do a lot of good work. Some of them will also partner with a 501c3. So essentially they'll say, okay, you can give us the money via this GoFundMe, or if you need a deduction, here's the 501c3 we're working with. You can donate money to them and then just put a note on it. Essentially, I want it to go to Bahamas Relief.
Okay, and I know you mentioned the Charity Navigator website, which is very important. Talk about what kind of information, because I know you could search on there for the actual business name.
Yep.
What kind of information should you be looking at once it pops up? Because I think fundraising expenses comes up on there and other numbers as well.
Exactly. So what you want to see, really the key is how much of a dollar that I'm going to give actually gets to the people who really need it. And unfortunately, there are some charities who take a lot of that in administration expenses, in marketing expenses, in executive salaries, right? So depending on what the organization you want to donate to and what the cause is, if your goal is to say, I'm going to give $100 and I want as much as possible of that $100 to end up in the hand of the people who really needs it, Charity Navigator does a great job of really breaking that down for you so you can see, hey, what percentage of my money is really getting into the hands of the people who desperately need it.
That's great. Do we have anybody on with questions on Facebook Live? Anyone that has questions for Giving Tuesday? How to navigate. I know on Facebook I've seen all and such wonderful charities too. This is the mascot for the interview right here. This is Gatsby. She's just hanging out with us, being a great sport. She's very interested in finances, as you can see.
She's the brains of the operation.
She's the brains of the operation. I've seen so many amazing charities on there. Should we be wary about what pops up on Facebook too? Just because it's on Facebook doesn't mean you shouldn't vet it out and research it?
Absolutely, right? And even with social media, pretty much be extra skeptical of anything across social media, because we're all getting hit up all the time, right? Whether it's in Facebook Messenger, it's in our email, it's in a feed, Instagram. And look, these scammers are smart. That's the sad part, as Facebook has really helped to let people spread out their dollars, well, the bad actors, they're taking advantage of that too, and they're getting smarter. So really rely on those good websites like Charity Navigator. Do your research in Google. Make sure they're good reviews. If there's only one review or two reviews and they're fantastic, be a little skeptical. People can write reviews for their own site, and then Google doesn't know. So just be skeptical. And because at the end of the day, the last thing anybody wants on a day like Giving Tuesday is to get a sour taste in their mouth. And
Absolutely.
not do it again next year.
Is there a preference as far as donating online versus actually physically writing out a check and mailing it to an organization? I mean, what should people look out for when deciding what's best for them?
It depends on their personal financial situation, but look, the truth of the matter is credit cards and EBTs, anything with a digital trace is going to be better. I mean, you mail a check and you never know who ends up getting that check and who cashes it and where the money's going. The more of a trace you have on it, the more of a trail, the better off that it's going to be.
Same thing goes for whether you're entering your credit card information or using like third-party sites like PayPal, maybe.
Yes, well, yeah. So PayPal, you definitely want to make sure again that whoever you're going to pay, they have that 501c3 attached to them, or that the money's getting to where you want it to get. And then again, PayPal is a wonderful tool that we can use to increase our donations, but the scammers know that too, and they're getting very sophisticated. So the key is do your research, especially on a site like PayPal.
Have you seen, a lot of charity organizations kind of struggle this year because there was so much donating happening for the Bahamas and disaster relief and things of that nature? Do you think that's going to actually have an impact this year around on Giving Tuesday?
Hopefully not, because the economy is very good. Right, so generally charitable giving is highly correlated to the economy. The economy is very good right now, even though in this locale specifically, certainly the Bahamas has absorbed a lot of that charitable demand. But hopefully people still step up. It's a great day to really think about what's most important.
Anything we should look out for if you visit a website and you're trying to determine whether that website's legitimate or not? Because I know we get a lot of copycats too that try to, say like they're this organization and
Sure.
It's really not the real website.
Again, go back to those reviews and also look at the web address. Most companies, I don't want to say all, but most companies, they're going to have a secure site. So it's going to be HTTPS, especially if they're taking credit card information over their website. Everybody should be HTTPS and versus HTTP, and that's a simple way you can do it. It's not 100% accurate all the time, but it's a pretty good measure.
All right. Anything else you think we should add or our viewers should know on this Giving Tuesday?
No, it's just the most important thing is do your research. Don't act impulsively. So throughout this holiday season, I personally am always trying to sort of restrain myself. Whether I'm getting an email saying, "Hey, something's 50% off, buy it." Do I really need it? Right? And thinking about Giving Tuesday and thinking about really helping people out. It's great to act impulsively, but the last thing we want is for somebody again to get a bad taste in their mouth, because guess what? Next year they won't do it.
Yeah.
So just do your research, take your time, and do some good.
And check your statements afterward to make sure you got charged exactly what you donated. And
Absolutely. And in a couple months from now, if you donate to a 501c3, write yourself a note to make sure you get that statement so you can deduct it off your taxes.